The question or the dynamic I wanted to explore with you is I can see what's being pointed to through you and other teachers that I've encountered. It's been about a year that I've learned about, non-duality, and that came into my awareness. And
Mm.
so when we're sitting, for example, in the beginning, or when I'm sitting in the morning or in the evening or even different parts in the day, I can touch like the stillness, that sense of I am. I know it's not an experience, but I'm speaking about it experientially. I know it's always there. I can understand that it, but still the dynamic that causes suffering still is the seeking happens. So I really wanted, and maybe there's nothing you can say to this, I don't know. I really want the seeking to be done, but I still do it. Like yesterday I was a bit in tears because I felt so frustrated with myself that I feel like I get it, and I feel in that flow, and then I wake up, and maybe it's just the mind, but I wake up in the morning like yesterday and I'm like, no, I need to hear this thought song, or I need to, you know, listen to some talk so that I make sure
Mm.
I get it.
Mm.
Um, and
And
that I don't lose
yeah,
it.
can I ask you a question? Prior to coming into non-duality, did you work on
Mhm.
the personal self at all, or did you do other spiritual practices?
Yeah, I did quite a lot. I think that helped like pay for me, like clear the way to be able to have
Mm.
space to explore this, like address just different things in terms of relationship, in terms of my some habits that I had that weren't helpful, and I worked with therapists, and so
Oh,
I have
nice.
a history of that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you've got a
so I
grounding. You're like your personal self. So the character is kind of like has a good conceptualization of its habits, its dynamics, its behaviors,
hmm
its interaction with life.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's good because when you get into this, your personal self, the way in which you thought prior to getting into non-duality, and the way in which you related with other people will be projected onto non-duality. So
hmm
your frustration that you feel towards non-duality and the the feelings that you have towards it will be no different to the way in the past in which you related to others, but you might have improved, like, so you might have improved your dynamics, but it will be the same. You cannot see outside of your brain and you cannot see outside of your conditioning on the human level. So when you wake up and you feel frustrated or you feel like you've lost something or you need to do something, it's the same functioning that happened prior when you were with the psychologist and when you were just out in everyday life and the way that you dealt with everyday
hmm
life. And this is the tricky part because when the seeking gets activated into the separate self, it's like the focus goes into the person and the focus goes into you being happy in time. And I know that you know all of this cognitively because you've listened and you can conceptualize it. But this is the tricky
hmm
part, is that the energy will always want to go into the character. And what's being pointed to and what's happening when you're listening to non-duality talks and what you like about non-duality is there's moments where you go in between or behind or beyond the character and you touch on something
hmm
which is free. And then when the character comes back, it conceptualizes that. And it's the same way in which you will have felt insecure about your love relationships, or you will have wanted more of your love relationships, or the way that you've dealt with food. It will be the same type of energy that will come up. And what to do on the human level when that happens is firstly understanding that the human level is a response that's happening, which there isn't actually an entity there in control of, that it's something that's happening. So you're having these responses. But in that response, what wants to begin to happen is a seeing and a knowing that's responding to those traits, knowing that it's not true. So when you wake up in the morning with that frustration, it's like what you want to also arise is seeing that that is happening in the personality. The personality wants pleasure, the personality wants to feel better, and that these aren't true. And there is something here right now in this moment that's already free. You don't have to feel the freedom in the person. You don't have to feel bliss or anything. It's just that recognition that the frustration comes up, the ideas come up, the seeking comes up, and seeing this isn't true. This isn't my truth. This might be true on a human level, like that I'm hungry or I'm cold or something, or that I'm frustrated. So it's apparently true on the human level. It's what the character sees, but it's not what you really want. It's not your absolute truth. It's not the absolute problem. It might be relatively a problem, but it's a condition of the mind that's arising. A different mind will have a different condition arising. And then when that happens, then it actually will begin to calm the character down in most cases, and not in all cases though. In some people it might create more neurosis, to be honest, but in most cases it's like pulling that addiction from the mind always being like me, I want. You're like there is relative truth. So it's freezing in the house and you can turn up the heating. If you're past being an ass, then there can be better ways to speak to them than shouting back. There could be better ways to deal with it. If you're out of money, then you maybe need to go and get more money. It's not saying it on that level. It's seeing that your idea that happiness is going to come from this is not true. So your idea now is that happiness is going to come from this meditation practice. And that's just absolutely fruitless going down that path. So you wake up in the morning, you feel like you've not got it, or you feel the frustration, and it's just seeing the habit of the mind, where the habit of the mind's going. Then there is an energy that wants to come up that's like, I see that habit, that is not true. And then you can then move your attention back into attention, or just in doing that will break something. And then when life is ready, it will present non-duality. It's like it's like that's the practice on the human level, and then non-duality will come when non-duality comes. So it's that the person is always believing that I am going to get a pleasure in time, I'm going to get something better from this in time, I need to be like something in time, I need to have a certain experience. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so if I can just share my understanding just to check it, it's like seeing that dynamic. So
yeah,
seeing the thought, for example, like, oh no, I forgot it, I need to get it back, the understanding, and then feeling the frustration and kind of realizing I've been down that road before and I know that's not true. And then returning to, like you said, what is the freedom that is already here? What is the peace that is already here?
Yeah. And I don't think you can return to that in the moment. Like, in a way, it's already there. But what you can do is you can put the attention in the attention. So you can pull the attention out of that. But if it's really strong, you can also explore it a bit more. So you can also explore that frustration, because it could also, be an energy that gets a bit stuck in the body. Where do I feel that frustration? And you can also look back in childhood, like see if you can connect it to childhood experiences, and see if you can so when it's strong, you can do the opposite. You can explore the sensation, and that exploration helps you, helps it become even deeper, more deeply embedded in the body that it's not true. So you can connect it to childhood experiences, and then that becomes more clear that that's not a present experience, that is a past memory that is coming on, that's informing you of something that's not really here. It's a bodily response, and then the body is thinking and imagining that enlightenment is the freedom and the way out of this. And all of that is illusory. All of that is the mind playing games with itself. It's not doing it in a nasty way, it's doing it as a way to try to help you. But it's kind of like not very helpful, because it just repeats patterns and thinking in the mind. So you can do both. So one, if it's not too strong, then you can then just put the attention back in the attention, and you just keep practicing that. And then the other is to explore back in time. And non-duality is grace. Everything is grace, but it's again language and semantics. But non-duality is grace. When it's ready to come forward, it will come forward. You can't make it come forward. All you need to concentrate on the human level is calming yourself down and seeing through the illusion of yourself. Like seeing through the illusion of what you believe you want and you need right now. And most of the time, like, so in Buddhism and in Hinduism and a lot of spiritual teachings, it's like seeing through the craving. And craving to me is the seeking. It's the belief that pleasure is your freedom. I'm not saying don't take pleasure. If you're hungry, go and get food. If you need shelter, go and get shelter. Right. But it's seeing through the illusion that pleasure equals freedom. And that's what the person is hypnotized under. And that's what creates this separation. And the illusion of I is all made up with that seeking, that freedom is found in my next pleasure. So you wake up in the morning, you feel like you've not got non-duality, and then in your mind, non-duality becomes that pleasure of freedom. It's a new conceptualization, and whatever you're conceptualizing can't really be non-duality because it's something in time, and non-duality is timeless. It's the same game.
Got it. Yeah, I think I'll have to listen back to this. I mean, I understand what you're saying now in this moment too, but I think I have to kind of see how it unfolds in my experience too.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. And you've got the recording on YouTube, so you can listen a few times back to it. And then maybe it brings up a question for next week. So you're so welcome to call in next week.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Lisa.
Yeah, with pleasure, Katie. Thank you for your question.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.